What's up, guys? My name is Jason, and this is my 1987 Toyota Supra.
Hey yo, the rain was steady pouring, heard the drops and drizzle meant to be. Chilling in my crib, no doubt, peep the scenery. Telephone rang, then it stopped before I could answer it. I heard a knock at the door, so I answered it. And with Jermaine, he had a little situation. Beef up on the block, and orthodox that led the confrontation. He said these cats be acting hard on the block, and they be pumping weight and holding, so Dwayne got shot. Now see, Dwayne was just a knucklehead, but still with his cousin. And I'd be wrong if I ain't help him when it's beef, he gon' rush him. He said, listen, homie, get no time.
What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel, or if you're new, welcome to the channel. Welcome 2025. This is my Supra. I've been meaning to do this video for a little while. This was one of my first videos that I ever did 2 years ago, and I started this channel after I ran into a guy at the gas station that was asking about my car, and he said, hey, do you have like a YouTube channel? Do you have Instagram, whatever? Can I follow you? I said no, and he said you should make a YouTube channel. I said okay, cool. So I ended up making a YouTube channel. Here we are today. So for those of you that have seen the video that was posted 2 years ago, it was, like I said, one of the first videos that I ever posted. I had no idea what I was gonna say. I just started the camera and I said about 1,016 times. So it's actually pretty entertaining to go back and see it. Now, I don't think I did a terrible job. I just said over and over and over. I picked up on that pretty quick. But today, I had a couple of you guys reach out and say, hey, you should redo that video you did 2 years ago and go over the update on your car, or the updated version of your car with the new turbo, with everything you've done to it. We would like to see it. So, lo and behold, here we are today. All right, and again, this is a 1987 Toyota Supra, the Mark III, the MA70, JZA70, whatever you want to call it. And you can see it is far from stock. Okay, right here from the front, that is a Mark IV Supra front lip, and it's just riveted on there. I didn't try to do anything crazy, but I just drilled some holes, put some rivets in there. It fits really nice, and I really like how it looks. It looks like it's almost made to be on this car, and definitely adds that extra flair to the front. Now, moving up here, I've got an old school HKS intercooler with 2.5-inch stainless steel intercooler piping coming off of all this stuff here, which we'll talk about that in a minute. A lot of you guys have asked me about this. That's my power steering reservoir from a 7M GTE. You guys know that those sit usually about up there. I just relocated it to there, made a bracket, tied it up to my intercooler support bracket, and called it good. Behind the radiator support is a CX Racing radiator, and it's been sufficient for what I need. I've gone through about 3 of the factory radiators. My last radiator actually completely delaminated and blew the whole top off, so I switched out to this. No problem since. And custom radiator J-tube, made all that stuff, not a huge deal. Still running the factory radiator fan, works just fine. Now into the main part of the build here. So as you can see here, I've got a GTX 3582R with a 0.82 turbine housing, and then just the normal compressor housing, glued to a custom T3 manifold. I got all this stuff from Treadstone Performance. We glued it all together, we TIG welded it all together, and threw a 38mm tile wastegate on there, and I just recently did the hood exit, which I still love. All the fittings are just Evil Energy fittings that you can just get off Amazon. I've had no issues with them. The only thing that I've noticed is that one started to fade with the coloring. Everything else has stayed the black that they were when I first bought them. So now up here, nothing crazy yet in the front. I just have the stock cam gears, which work just fine for my setup. You'll see here, I've got a cam angle sensor. So I just have a magnet drilled into the back of the factory cam gear. It picks up just fine. I have no issues with syncing. Down there in the bottom by the crank, you can't see it because it's tucked in there pretty tight, but that is the crank angle sensor. So the two of those talk together, and those fire the 1ZZ coil packs. So it's all coil over plug on there. I'm running 1100cc FIC fuel injectors with a SARD fuel pressure regulator, a lot of AEM, electronics, and it is all wired into an ECU Masters EMU Classic. Now, a lot of you guys have asked me why I'm not running some like AEM Infinity or something on here, or why am I not running the EMU Black. The Classic was a still of a deal when I got it several years ago, and it's sufficient for what I want. If I start pushing a ton more power, we'll look into that eventually. As of right now, it does exactly what I need it to do. The only downfall that I've noticed is I'm running out of outputs, so I only have like one output left. If I wanted to add one more sensor, I'd pretty much be hosed or whatever. So that's the only downfall. But other than that, it runs everything just fine. It's all in the glove box and it's all wired up. Now, this has been a huge item. This is the forward-facing intake manifold. For those of you that are familiar with this motor, the intake manifold comes up and over the engine, and you can see the little indent there. That's where the factory intake manifold sits. Obviously, it will not work that way anymore with these coil packs sitting up as high as they do. So we did a 2JZGE intake plenum, and we just welded them to the 7M runners. I've seen a lot of you guys follow the design. Love it. Love seeing it out there. That's the whole reason I put the video out there of the intake manifold, was to show you guys just how easy it is to put a forward-facing intake manifold on these engines. It literally is like not a problem at all. So I have had a couple of you guys reach out to me and say, thank you. Like, that was awesome. It worked out great. I love how it fits. Awesome. I'm glad that you guys were able to follow the idea, run with it, and get it to work on your cars. It literally, like, I know I've seen a couple other intake manifolds with the same kind of design. I did not steal the design. I literally saw the 2JZ plenum and I was like, we could probably make it work. It kind of lines up. We welded them on there. I ported them, and then I started seeing a lot of aftermarket intake manifolds that look really similar to this. I promise I did not steal anyone's design. I've had people like, oh, that looks a lot like this one. I literally bought this stuff and we welded it on in hopes that it was going to work, and it just happened to work. So anyways, if you guys like the intake manifold, follow my other video and build one for yourself. They work great. And I'm just running the I think it's the 1999 Toyota Camry throttle cable mounted up to a 90mm throttle body, and that's just a billet throttle body that just bolts onto the intake manifold. And then, like I said, 2.5-inch intercooler piping all the way through, and I built all that here in my garage. Still running the factory fuel rail with no issues there, factory brake booster, all that stuff. And then I just have a generic catch can over there. Now, for the suspension, I'm running the Tine, whatever, however you want to pronounce it, coilovers. They are the 16-way dampening with 3.5-inch ride height adjustment. And I have had those on here for a long time with no issue. The ride height is pretty good. We'll get to those here in a second. On the front, this is another question that I get a lot, and that is what wheel size are you running? The fronts are RPF 1s, the Anki RPF 1s. This is I thought it was a squared offset. You can see my other wheels are just sitting over there. These are 225 45 18s on the front, and I can't remember what the offset is. It's nothing super crazy. These came off a Mitsubishi Evo, and they just bolted on, same wheel pattern and everything. And then in here, I'm running now a 13.5-inch rotor with the Mercedes Brembo brakes. If you guys are curious about that, I did another video on that. I know some of you guys have reached out and wanted to know more in-depth installation on that. I did kind of a quick overview. It's super easy to install these, and I highly recommend it because they're pretty inexpensive. And like I said, it'll increase the rotor size, and obviously the stopping power is a lot better. Now back here, you guys probably saw the video recently where I scored these Weld Forge drag wheels. I mean, I guess you call them drag wheels, but they're really popular with drag slicks, drag cars, because of the indestructible design on the back here. So yeah, they are the forged wheels. I picked these up for $350. It was a steal. They came with the tires as well. They are ready to be replaced here soon. And these are, you can see it's upside down, but a 28 by 12.5 on a 15-inch wheel. So they are gigantic wheels. They almost look kind of like clown shoes on this car because they are so massive. But they fit because I have a set of the Shine Auto Works over fenders. I had to cut about 2 inches up to get that over fender on there, and that's how I'm able to tuck such a huge wheel on there. They do kind of look goofy, I'm not going to lie, but they are definitely race car, and they look pretty sweet on there. And one thing that I forgot to mention is the turbo. The exhaust on there is a full turbo back exhaust, 3-inch all the way through, no cats. And it comes out to an HKS Power TI muffler, and I absolutely love how it sounds. I also have a V-band that's about right in here, so I can actually just take the whole muffler off and put a straight pipe through there. It's super loud. My neighbors get super pissed off about it, so I just leave the muffler on there. Still pretty loud with just a muffler, but it sounds pretty good. Now, I got the garage shut because it's freezing outside, but you can see that I've upgraded the The tail lights for the three-piece setup, which is like the 89 and newer style. And then I've also done the three-piece spoiler. My car did not come with a spoiler at all. I bought both of these. So I bought the tail lights with like, there's like one tiny little crack, $100, three-piece spoiler, $100. This was years ago. This was before these went up to like insane amounts of money, but I think they look awesome. I love the updated tail lights. I know some of you guys like the two-piece style, the two-piece whatever. And I know some of you guys don't even like running the spoiler, but I really wanted that on my car, and I think it looks amazing. Inside the car, I do have an 8-point roll cage. This was from Summit Racing, and it was just a universal cage, just so happened to fit. I'll try to find the link, and I'll put it in the description below, but I didn't have to cut anything on the main hoop. I didn't have to cut anything off the legs. It just went right in with about 1/4 of an inch spacing from the top of the hoop to the roof. So they fit perfect in there, the hoop does. The door bars, we had to cut those down a little bit, but they go right in just fine. They're welded down there into the floor. Everything's welded in. I do need to box those in, so that is something for the near future. Running just an NRG steering wheel. I do have the button that I need to wire up for the rolling anti-lag. Right now the rolling anti-lag button is right there in the center console. It's not ideal because you're holding the button down and you're taking one hand off the steering wheel. So that's why I put that button up there. And it's got a nice little touch on there. So you'll hold that down, 4,800 RPM, hold that button down, romp on the throttle, and that'll activate the rolling anti-lag. It spits some good flames out the back, let that thing off, and you are ready to rock. I have the Marlin crawler speed sensor that screws right into the W58 transmission. And basically the ECU reads that if I am between 0 to 7 miles an hour, that'll activate the rolling anti-lag. If I simply just put the throttle to the floor, it starts popping and banging, and I'm ready to fire. And being said, the W58 has been gone through. It is built. I do have different synchros on it, and it has an ACT 6-puck unsprung clutch. I know that I start getting up into the 600 horsepower range. That thing's not going to be sufficient. I know that. We'll cross that bridge when we get there. But as of right now, it rips, it holds the power, and it does just fine for what I'm trying to do. Back here in the back end, I know some of you guys were concerned about the huge wheels potentially breaking axles or breaking the differential. This does not have the factory differential anymore. I sold that. This now has a Torsen LSD in it, and it is solid as can be. I have had absolutely zero issues with the differential, and it went right in, no problem. We're ready to rock. So. All right, and that pretty much wraps it up. You can see the car is not the factory color. The factory color is the trim color right there. So it's more of a burgundy red, a little bit darker maroon color. But I did wrap this in vampire satin red. The wrap is holding up okay. This car is definitely good from far, but far from good. I know a lot of you guys have commented and they're like, oh, your car's so sick, it's so clean. Don't get too excited, don't get ahead of yourselves. There are definitely some imperfections on this car. Like, I'm not afraid to show you guys any of these. I mean, these, first of all, these are rusting, which is awesome. There's a dent right there that I need to fix. The rest of it looks okay. I mean, it's not horrible. I drive this thing as much as I can. I wouldn't say it's a daily driver, but I do drive it, and I have a lot of fun with it. I built this car to be driven. I don't want it to sit in the garage. I drive it as much as I can. Even with it, you know, it's not snowing yet. It snowed the other day. It's freezing outside. So it's, like I said, it's probably why the car's not running very well, just because it's so cold and it just sits. I need to put it on a battery tender to kind of help it. But if it's not snowing and it's mildly warm, so the tires do an okay job, I'll drive the car. I really don't care. I want to have fun with this car. It's not a garage queen. It is going to be out on the street as much as possible. I love driving the car. I get a lot of satisfaction from driving the car, but I know a lot of you guys and a lot of people out on the street absolutely love seeing the car out there. So I encourage you guys, if you have one of these cars, you're trying to build it, I definitely, keep at it, because these cars are getting pretty rare. I've heard them going for as high as like 30 grand and above. I've seen some listed for 60s. It just depends on obviously the condition and stuff. I've seen them as low as 1,500 bucks. So if you're working on it and you're like, oh man, my car will never get there. Trust me, I thought the same thing. I thought that my car would never get there, and it has. It just takes a little bit of time, and you'll definitely not regret it in the future when you get to a point where you can just take the car out and enjoy it and drive it. So that being said, guys, I appreciate all the support. I went into making this YouTube channel with no plan. I went into it with just thinking, oh, I'll just make a video, I'll post it, whatever. And I've gotten some subscribers, which is pretty awesome, and I really appreciate it. You guys have been very supportive. commenting, liking, subscribing. You know, that's been pretty awesome. So I want to keep getting some videos out there for you guys as much as I can. I do have some plans for some future builds, some things that I want to build, and some cars that I've had on my list to do. I'm toy at heart, so I've been looking at some Celicas, like the old school Celicas, some IS300s. I know that's Lexus, but some IS300s. I have some plans. So like I said, there should be an update on a potential shop opportunity coming up, hopefully this year, which will be awesome. And it just depends on how things pan out for me, and we'll try to get there as quick as we can so we can film some more videos for you guys. So with that being said, if you enjoyed the video, like, comment, subscribe. If you're new to the channel, welcome. Also subscribe. And if you guys have a question about something, if you have the same car and you're like, I have no idea what I'm doing, I'm trying to get this thing running, I don't know what the problem is, hit me up, I'll message you, whatever. I don't have any problem with talking with you guys. Go over to my Instagram, it's linked in the description. I tend to get better messaging through my Instagram, so hit me up there if you have any questions, and I look forward to talking to some of you guys. So I've built some good relationships so far with some of you guys, and talk to you now almost on a daily basis, which is pretty cool. So, but that being said, guys, we'll see you on, where's it? I can't remember. Oh, that's right, the next one. Yeah, we'll see you on the next one.